I think we should be live, Mr. Tech Deals. I've hit the
Hello,
live stream.
Internet.
So, we are back with the Tech Something live stream for you guys, and I am joined by Mr. Tech Deals. It's been a long time since we've done a live stream.
It's been a couple of years, I think.
It has been very long indeed. So, how you been, first of all?
I have been wonderful. In fact, I can see myself on the internet on your channel. It's pretty cool.
Yeah? Oh, so the live stream's actually working?
Yes, although I think I have my lights turned up too brightly, but I can fix.
Okay.
It would help if I turn that off.
Yeah, so basically Tech Deals has the whole Skype backgrounds thing going on, so it actually looks pretty good. So let us know in the chat if you guys think if he should just take it off. It's just going to be a white background if he does it. So
It's really blue technically, but it probably shows up as white on the camera.
So anyway, it's been a long time. I guess in the meantime, we both just been working on YouTube. I think it does consume you. YouTube's like becomes your life in ways. And I for me personally, it's just like, okay, this time of the year has been honestly the busiest time of the year ever. Like we got new GPUs from Nvidia, new GPUs now from AMD, which we're going to discuss today. Then we got new CPUs. And it's just like, wow, there are so many new products coming out. And the thing is like there's like the stock, right? This is the biggest thing. All these new exciting products. But this is the biggest question. I guess we'll start off the live stream first. Are these RX 6000 series going to have same stock problems that Nvidia is having? Because what they're showing here looks really good. And at the end of the day, they can only produce so much based on, say for instance, if they made all these new factories to produce these GPUs, everyone bought them day one. Who's going to buy them after the fact, right? So they've got to weigh up the investment over time for making the GPUs. And it just so happens to be that the demand is through the roof for this stuff. So I honestly think just like the RTX 3000 series, there will be some stock problems on these GPUs. And yeah, so yeah, we got Tech Deals City. This is what it is today, Tech Deals City. So, do you like that name?
They, AMD has had the benefit of producing on 7 nanometer for a year and a half now, and they've got a good relationship with TSMC, which Nvidia doesn't. Here's what puzzles me. The die size of these new RDNA 2 chips is much larger than the die size of the chiplets for the Zen 2 and Zen 3 chips. And you would think that they would want, if they could make 3 Ryzen 7s in the same die space as a single 6800 XT, they'd make more money selling 3 Ryzens, but maybe there's not enough demand for that.
And they've got the competitive console deal, right? That's the biggest thing. Like, there's that 7 nanometers getting shipped out to consoles as well. And so I just think, like, even if you've got a great relationship, I think there's still going to be some stock problems. That's all. So, that's just based on what they've shown us, right? $649. So we'll move on to the specs and the pricing here. This looks really good. I'm calling the 6800 XT and the 6900 XT. We'll talk about the 6800 a little bit as well, because it's a little bit, that one's like, I honestly don't see why you'd want to buy a 6800 if you can get a 6800 XT, just based on what I've seen so far. Because you're going to have a 3080 competitor and then a 3090 competitor up the top. And I will say the 6900 XT for me personally looks like the best deal, so to speak. Like, you're getting that flagship performance from AMD, and it's competing with a 3090. And from what they showed, the frame rates. So we've got all the numbers in this. This is like all the numbers are going to be here. So we'll just switch back. You provided me with this. This was great. This just shows everyone the numbers. So we've got 150, right? 150 on Doom Eternal. Now, Doom Eternal's a very good game to look at because it's so well optimized for both CPU and GPU. It's on Vulkan as well, which AMD's architecture is very well made for, geared up for. And you can see here 150 FPS on Ultra Nightmare settings. The 3090 they're showing would probably be like 155 or something. And then if we move up to the 6800 XT, hopefully that was like, they did like a...
It's a couple slides up.
Yeah, they did a bass and treble. Like, you know what I mean? They upped the bass and they upped the treble on the equalizer in the presentation. So you got the good stuff on both sides, and then you got the 6800 in the middle. So 6800 XT is, where's the 4K? Yeah, 138. So it's coming pretty close to the 6900 XT. Actually, now that I look at that, okay, I thought it was 118. Sorry, I misread the Doom Eternal numbers. 138. Okay, the 6800 XT is the deal.
There you go.
Yeah.
For $650, the $350 more of a 6900 XT. I actually had somebody ask me on our live stream earlier today why I was so down on the 6900 XT. And I basically said during the live stream, I said, look, there's one video card here. There's the 6800 XT. Because the 6800 non-XT loses 12 compute units, and it loses clock speed for $80. And if you're going to spend $580 on a 6800 non-XT, another $80 to get 12 more compute units, another 100 megahertz of boost speed, that seems to me to be pretty reasonable. But then it's $350 and only adds 8 more compute units. You go from 72 to 80. And somebody on our live stream earlier was like, why are you so down on the 6900 XT? Because after all, the 3090 is $1,500, at least in the US. Obviously, prices vary around the world. But it's $1,500, and it's $500 less for the 6900 XT. And my simple response was this. In a vacuum, you're correct. If the only two products are the flagships from the two companies, if you're only comparing RTX 3090 to 6900 XT, absolutely 100%. The 6900 XT wins. It's not even a contest. But there's a $650 6800 XT, which is what, 8% slower?
Yeah,
for 350 less.
Well, what I'm seeing as well, so I think I know where you're coming from here, right? I think, so, like, I'm not upset, right? I'm not upset at all, because I think Nvidia and AMD, they need to make money, right? And so these cards existing, like, they should just charge, even if they were charging $2,000 for it, I wouldn't really care. As long as they've got that 3080 and they've got now the 6800 XT, as long as they've got these two cards that people can buy and they're going to get, near high-end, like near flagship performance, but at good value. So I think this is going back to the older ways that both these companies used to operate. They used to operate with these flagship models that were only that little bit better, but they cost a lot more. Like, I'm thinking back to the CPU days of, what was it, FX, like 55, I forgot the names. But anyway, they had those flagship CPUs that cost a lot more. And that's
you mean
how
the FX 9590 they tried to sell for
No. We're going back to the days where they were actually good. Like, not the bulldozer days, but before that when they were on top. And now that it looks like, I'm not going to say anything too much, but it looks like they're going to be on top with Zen 3 again. So what I'm trying to say is I'm not upset when these companies release like the 3090s and the 6900 XTs, because they've got to make money, man. And there's guys out there with money who want that little bit more, and they want to pay that more. And in turn, we should actually think of this as a little bit of a different way of thinking. But us average guys should be thankful for that, because that funds future R&D development. So it's kind of like, if you think of it in a Robin Hood sense, 6900 XTs existing and 39 existing is fantastic for the average guy who wants the value option. And that's how I see it. Now, in terms of the 3090, the difference here between the 3090 and the 6900 XT is that they put 24 gigabytes of VRAM and differentiated it from the 3080 in quite a few ways. So I mean, mainly the VRAM, but you did get a massive, massive cooler. From what I'm told is the 6900 XT is going to have the same cooler as the 6800 XT. It's also going to have the same VRAM. And so it's basically the same card. You're just paying $350
They're both
more.
300. It's just better binning. They're both 300 watts of total board power. It's basically a 6800 XT is just a cut down 6900 XT for binning purposes, but they're both 300 watts. So I imagine they'll just take the top few percentage of chips that are cherry and make them 6900 XTs. I don't mind them selling it either. But that doesn't mean I have to recommend it. I mean, lots of products exist because there's people out there who are not price sensitive. I made the comment earlier today. I said there's a market of people to whom they ask the question, what's the best? And they don't really care what it costs. It's not a huge market, but it exists, and AMD does need that money.
Yeah.
I guess my point would be to anybody who is value oriented or looking for performance for the money, just pretend that the 3090 and the 6900 XT don't exist and just look at the 80 series cards, because there's people who buy expensive watches and purses and cars. That doesn't mean they're good value.
No, exactly. Yeah. So I mean, I'm actually, but that's the thing. I'm happy these products exist though. When you say like, when people start bashing like 3090, and if people start bashing a 6900 XT, I'll be like, guys, we kind of need them. Like, even if you're looking at it from an individual standpoint, it's actually good that they exist. So yeah, anyway, I'm pretty excited. Like I thought it was 118 FPS. I will say that. I don't know why I got that in my head. I thought there was a much bigger gap between 6900 XT, but when I just checked the numbers here, it's like, yeah, you're looking at not even 10%, yeah?
So, hang on a second. I think my camera is out of focus. I actually noticed it earlier, and I thought, well, that's probably just me.
It could just be Skype quality too, dude. I'm in Australia too. Australian internet is that bad. So yeah, there is a big though. But let's go over what is really good about their announcement, and also I guess a few critiquing points. There are a few critiquing points that I have personally. First thing is the performance for the price. 6800 XT looks like the winner. Yeah. I'll try and pull up some of just so we can see the stats. So we'll pull up the stats here of the cards side by side. So this is a good.
I'm not surprised that Zoom is winning the streaming wars, considering.
Oh yeah, you look better now. Actually,
Skype really is.
You do look better now. So yeah. You do look a bit
Sorry,
better.
Sorry, guys.
So, that's all right. That's all right. You're fine. But we got the stats side by side here.
Chat was complaining.
Yeah. So available from November 18. That would be US, so where you guys are, so November 19 in Australia. December 8 for the big one, the 6900 XT. So the performance, like what you're getting here is 16 gigabytes across all cards. So the 6800 XT, again, is looking like the value king based on the same amount of VRAM across all the stacks here. And yeah, there's the stats, guys. Same game clocks, same boost clocks. 6800 XT is the deal. Tech Deals has said it. Yeah.
Somebody in chat earlier commented that they, it's funny. I mean, I have this problem on my channel too. People get this perception of what you're a fan of and what you're not a fan of, and ironically, one week I'll get called an Nvidia shill, and the next week I'll get called an AMD shill, or whatever, and. If I'm not promoting somebody's favorite thing that week, then I must obviously be, biased.
Yeah, you've been in it too long. Like, I'm surprised, like, you even care. Like, I just don't care. Like, I see a few guys that, I see you guys on Twitter, man. You're like, oh, people call us an Nvidia shill, an AMD shill, or an Intel shill. It's like, man, why do you even respond to that crap? It's like, I didn't even bother. Like, the bottom line is you look at me, right? I'll go pick up used deals, used bangers. I do not care what's in that thing as long as the price is good. I think you should be a price shill, which doesn't make any sense, right? So yeah, I'm a price shill, price performance shill. Doesn't make any. Yeah, there you go, guys. Just said it. So
Well, here's a fun thought. Just to interrupt everybody's what the best deal is. Has anybody considered that the 6800 XT benchmark results, which AMD provided, which are at 4K, and obviously at 4K you need lots of performance. Um, I don't know what they're going for in the land down under in Oz, but right now RX 5700 XTs are going for about 360-ish here in the US,
yep.
which is just over half the price of a 6800 XT.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's true that a 6800 XT has ray tracing and it has 16 gigs of VRAM, and that's all cool. But at 1440p, if you want the deal in terms of dollars per frames per second, how many people are going to rush out and buy a 6800 series card and ignore the fact that the 5700 XTs are now actually a pretty good deal?
That's true too. So will they continue to make the 5000 series cards being on 7 nanometer as well? So
well, they're here. They might be gone next month, but they're here today. So I mean, it's an option.
yeah. So
Especially if the 6800 XTs sell out in 3 seconds.
they will. The 6800 XT will sell out, and you'll see the same. Like, I reckon they'll sell out. So that's okay. So going forward, I think one thing that I will say is a little bit different from this launch for me. Firstly, I just woke up. I might not seem as excited as I do about the Nvidia launch, and that's because I'm waiting for both Nvidia and AMD to launch the cheaper cards too, like the real GTX 1060, RX 570. I really want. There's been nothing for years, and I'd love to see even a hint of that too. Like, hey guys, we got this coming in 6 months, even if it's like 6 months. We need something small and entry level, because when we look at it, right, 500 US for an RTX 3070, and now you got 580 for a 6800. These are the newest cards, and that's the cheapest entry point. And we will talk about the RTX 3060 Ti soon as well. But I want to see like a $200 card. Like, really want to see a $200 card come out that just smokes the whole GPU market and really disrupts it. That's what I want to see, right? And it just seems like, there's my excitement sort of like, when Zen 3 comes out, look, the excitement's going to be through the roof. I can't say too much with it, but it's, excitement's definitely there. But on the GPU side, I want to see like the 6600 XT. And on Nvidia, I want to see the 3050. I want to see these little GPUs and really shake up the cheaper market, right? But it seems like they both, AMD and Nvidia, just don't want to compete with the consoles coming out. And the consoles, like, after seeing this presentation, the Series X will be big. The new one, the Xbox, that'll be huge, because that's got the 5120. That's got the 80 compute units, doesn't it?
Yeah, the consoles are better this time around than they were last time. When the PS4 and the Xbox One launched, they were fairly weak relative to what the PCs were at the time. The last generation of consoles weren't amazing. PS5 and Xbox Series X are monsters. That for $500,
Dude.
We did a live stream yesterday on a $500 budget build, which essentially was a Ryzen 3 3100 with a 1650 Super.
Yeah.
And somebody in our live chat said, "So is this competitive compared to the consoles?" And I laughed and I said, "Are you kidding? No, not even close."
Yeah.
Well, what does it take to get competitive to the consoles? I said, well, our last build was a $1,500 8-core 16-thread machine with decent hardware in it. It had a 5700 XT in it. And they're like, but that's 3 times the price of the consoles. I'm like, yeah. Well, how do I get console performance on the PC? Spend a lot more.
Yeah.
And the reality, of course, what they're not saying is, but I don't want to. Well, okay, but these consoles are ridiculous levels of performance. Usually consoles aren't that impressive, but I'm genuine. I wish we could just I wish we could use these consoles as PCs.
I mean, the thing is, look, last time when PS4 and Xbox released, I was down playing it. Like they were garbage. You could see that they were weak before they even came out. This time around, like, man, I'm seeing these other YouTube videos. Like, people are like, why don't you make a console killer? Tech, yes, man, come on, you got to make a console killer. I'm like, guys, I can't. Like, I cannot make an Xbox Series X with RTX 3090 like performance for $500. You just can't get it done.
You can't even do it for. I mean, if you could do it for 1,000, I'll be. I guess if you went cheap on everything, maybe. I mean, at some point, you can use a cardboard box for a computer case, but is that really the same thing?
Yeah, I mean, the bottom line is those new like Xbox, Microsoft's going hard, man. They're going so hard. Like, after seeing, because it's got RDNA 2, right? It's got the 80 compute units. They're really going to make it work. So, I mean, yeah, it's going to be huge. That's all. And like, when I'll do a Series S, is it the weaker one? I'll try and do a console killer for that. But that's going to be extremely difficult even then.
$300? Are you kidding?
That's what I mean.
The graphics card alone is that much money.
But that's what I mean. Like, you look at the $100 flip up challenge. How I'm going to do it is, okay, guys, this is how we kill the console. You basically start flipping PCs for a couple of months, then you can do it, which I'm already doing. So, anyway, this is the RDNA 2 stuff's exciting. The one thing we got to talk about though with the RDNA 2 is this Infinity fabric. Yeah, one of the most interesting things is they started talking about Infinity fabric.
Infinity cache is what they're referring to here.
Yep. I'm just trying to pull up the slide.
The fact that the cards are faster on a 500 series motherboard with a 5000 series CPU is traditionally, when somebody says, does it matter what motherboard I buy? It doesn't matter what CPU I have, so long as I have a modern CPU. Generally, if you have a modern CPU and if you have a modern motherboard, it doesn't make any difference. But this time around, there's up to a 13% difference between having it with a 5000 series chip on a 500 series motherboard versus not, because the CPU will have direct access to the VRAM without having to use the PCI Express's buffer. And
sorry, chat corrected me on the Xbox Series X. I thought it had the same stream processors, 5000 or something. Okay, so it has less.
I don't remember what it has. It has a lot.
Okay, I'll have to.
It has 52.
Okay, all right. Sorry, I messed up. I thought it had the same stream processors as the 5000 going in the. Yeah, my bad.
It has nearly as many stream processors as the 6800 does.
Okay.
And it costs less than just the 6800.
Okay, all right. My bad. That's my bad. I messed up. Oops.
Yeah, but here's the thing. A 6800 is $580 for 60 compute units, and an Xbox Series X is 52 compute units for 500.
Yeah.
And for that 500, you get a complete working machine with a 4K Blu-ray drive and a controller and an 8-core 16-thread Zen 2 CPU and 16 gigs of GDDR6. And if you buy the video card, you have a video card.
Yeah, the compute units are interesting, because we're seeing... Yeah, I've got to check this out after stream. Sorry, I didn't research the stream processors to compute unit relation. Man, okay, my memory must be a bit like... Look, I know things are a bit upside down in Australia, but look, I got a legit excuse here. I swear I've seen different stream processor ratios to compute units on the new consoles as opposed to these new cards. Anyway, I'll go check it all out after stream and make sure my numbers are right and stuff like that. But the bottom line is the value is going to be really good on the consoles. But I'm looking forward to seeing the 6800 XT when that releases. That's definitely going to be one that's going to shake things up for you guys and shake things up in the GPU market. Now, I would honestly love it if in this presentation, if we saw, like, I will give props to, like, the Nvidia, they did show, like, the actual people locking in the settings, didn't they? And then showing the FPS on the gameplay. all we've seen so far is just graphs rather than actual, like, okay, here's the FPS, get excited about it sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Well, you know, I don't want to pull you away from the idea you're trying to express. My brain is actually still stuck about 3 paragraphs ago because you made a comment saying that you're upset that we don't have like a $200 or $300 budget graphics card.
Yeah.
And, you know, you're not wrong, because 4 years ago when I started my channel on YouTube, there were lots of those options. When the 10 series launched, you had the 1050 and the 1050 Ti, and then the 3 and the 6 gig 1060, and you had options between like 120 to 250. There was like 4 cards between 120 and $250. When the RX 500 series launched, you had the 550, 560, 570, and 580, and you had cards between $100 and $230. There were all kinds of interesting options in those price points. And the rumors that I've seen, of course, they're just rumors. I mean, nothing official, but I saw a thing 2 days ago that the 3060 Ti will launch in December at $450. And I'm like, $50 less than the 3070? Okay, really? Okay, sure, I guess. Where's the $200 card? Where's the $300 card? And I suspect that they want to just sell the older cards at those price points because
stock.
Well, look at AMD. They've spent how many years now selling $200 cards? They haven't had a $500 card. Their average selling prices are terrible. They suffered terribly for having nothing to sell for $500, and so they're overcompensating by going $580 as our entry-level card. But look at Zen 3. The cheapest Zen 3 is $300. The lowest price Zen 3 is about the same price as the highest priced Zen Plus was, the 2700X. The previous Ryzen lines had $150 options, and now the entry level is $300. I mean, you see how everything has just gone expensive?
It feels like, it almost feels like they're just going to let the budget stuff go to the consoles. All right, just go buy a console. Here's this elite PC gaming experience. Almost like, if we don't look, in another 6 months, if we don't see any budget cards out, some real good budget options, then it feels like, they're just going to, all right, here's the old stuff if you want a real cheap PC, but you got to get the new stuff, and it's a lot more expensive. So, I mean, and that's the problem. Like, the used market's been a mess for the last, like, ever since good old COVID dropped. The used market's just been a mess. And it's like, that's what I mean, really, like, for me personally, I really need this because I want to be excited again on the used market. But all I do is I jump on good old Gumtree and Facebook. I just see the same overpriced stuff up for sale. Like some dude selling a GTX 950 for $150, like Aussie, which would be like 100 and something US. Yeah, exactly. It makes you scratch your head. Yeah, no, yeah. Okay, facepalm, even just bang your head on the wall.
That's a $50 card, maybe.
Exactly, right? Exactly. That's what it should be worth. But this is like, and I even heard someone.
And it's hardly worth that. It's kind of, it's almost retro.
Yeah, and this is the thing. Even if, some of the stories that I hear from the computer shops too, they're like, people come into them to upgrade their PC and they're like, what did you pay for this GTX 960 4 gig? And they're like, oh, $200. And when did you buy it? Oh, 2 months ago. And it's like, what, you bought a GTX 960 4 gig for $200 in 2020? And they're like, yeah. And it's like,
do you not have sources of RX 570s and 580s in Australia for
the
$120 range?
But people see the green logo, bro. People see the green logo and they want it.
But the RX 570 and 580 are awesome cards.
Yeah, but
they have mature drivers. They've got lots of VRAM. They run everything.
Okay, so this is like, just picture this, right? You're a 10-year-old kid. You jump on Twitch TV, you see your favorite streamer saying, guys, look at the menu on the settings. We've got Nvidia Reflex IO. Oh, and then he starts fragging some people, and then that kid has to get an Nvidia card now because he's seen his favorite streamer dropping that stuff on stream. Like, I gotta say, Nvidia out of Intel, AMD, and Nvidia. Nvidia's like the marketing geniuses, man. They are really good. Like, they know how to spin. So this is what I'm saying. Like, and look, I'm a one-man band. I can't change the nation. Even you look at Linus was slightly negative on his, wasn't he slightly negative on his 3080 review? That didn't stop. Like, the pre-orders are through the roof, man. Like, that's what I mean. Us as YouTubers, we're more of we can only be reactionary based rather than changing. Like,
Linus is fully aware of the fact that it doesn't make any difference what he says, and he's discovered that he can say positive or negative. Exposure is exposure, and he talks about it, and people.
But here's the biggest fish.
People hear what they want to hear. I can say something point blank to my audience. I can be reading live chat, and I'll say, I said today during the live stream, this is the first AMD graphics card launch that I've been excited about at launch. I was not excited about Navi. And ultimately, I had good reason to be, because from my point of view, you might disagree with me, Navi drivers suck for the first 6 months. I had poor results in 2019 with them. They're great now. I don't have any problem recommending Navi now, but it took a while for them to sort out their mess. The last graphics card launch that I was excited about from AMD was the 580 in early 2017, and that was a $230 card. But this looks like Navi cleaned up and refreshed if they've got the drivers ironed out, which obviously we have to test. But they've got the DirectX 12 product stack. They've got ray tracing for whatever it's worth. I'm not expecting it to beat NVIDIA's ray tracing, but at least it's there. It's a feature checkbox that lets people go, okay, it's got it. Not that very much uses it at the moment. It's got Fidelity FX and a few other things. The 16 gigs of VRAM, strangely enough, has me more excited than anything else, because I'm seeing 8 gigs of VRAM during testing. Load up Horizon Zero Dawn. Even on a 6 gig card, it's not enough.
Really?
No, I actually tweeted some pictures. I've been
testing
on
a 6 gig. Oh, sorry, you said 6 gig. Yeah, sorry. I've only been tested on 8 gig cards recently.
No, on 6 gig, if you put it up at high detail, you get texture pop.
Ah, yeah. Texture popping. Yeah, man.
It actually uses 8 gigs of VRAM. Well, 7.5. It's that game is designed for 8 gigs of VRAM.
Yeah.
It will run on a 6 gig card. All you have to do is turn textures to medium, and it'll run on a 6 gig card. But Horizon Zero Dawn is not a brand new game. If you're buying a new card today and you're buying an 8 gig card, how long is it going to last before that 8 gig starts to be I got to turn textures down?
Yeah. I mean, that's a good argument. So, but where's from my, I don't know, okay, so you got to weigh it up, right? You look at 24 gigabytes on the 3090. It's way too much, right? Way too much. Then you look at 10 gigabytes on the 3080. I think it was okay. Like, it depends if these games are coming out and they're going to utilize all that VRAM. Like, you can pick out one game like Horizon Zero Dawn and you can say, okay, but if you're looking at the mass amount of games and they're all using, say, the cap's 8 gigabytes, which it seems like 8 gigabytes is where it's at right now. 2 gigabytes gives you a little bit more. So, I don't know. I've never been, if you go back through the history, I've never been really sold on VRAM too much. I've always liked the lower VRAM options because I feel like you bash the textures on max, your FPS is going to suck anyway. You're going to be getting a choppy, usually a lot of the times you drop those textures on max, and the difference between ultra and high settings is that VRAM limit, but also at the same time, the FPS jump is not even worth it on dropping it to ultra. So it just depends on which school of like train of thought you're on. Do you like getting a card and just going, yeah, maxing the dial on everything? Is that your sort of?
No, I actually do most of my benchmarks at high detail. I think I actually have a saying that I use a lot, which is ultra is for screenshots and high is for gaming. Because ultra can just, some games you turn it up to ultra and the performance just is silly. It crushes it. You can lose 30% of your performance.
Oh, more.
But one thing that you can do is you can turn detail to high, but turn textures up a notch, and it's not the same performance penalty. Like, so long as shadows and some of the other effects aren't turned up, lighting effects, etc. Because texture details are just larger details, but a lot of games, I mean, look at Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is ridiculous with its size, but it's shipping with these huge 4K textures. As games ship with larger textures, 4K being naturally 4 times as much as 1080p, if we needed 4 gigs of VRAM for 1080p gaming, well, we needed 2 for a while, but that sort of started creeping into 4. GTA 5 will use 3 gigs of VRAM at 1080p high. So 2's not really enough, but 4 wasn't quite needed, but it's nice to have. But if you go to 4K and you go to textures at 4K, well, what's 4 times 4 gigs of VRAM? 16.
Yeah.
If the next 3 years is the transition to mainstream normal person 4K gaming, meaning not 3090, but like normal people cards, $400, $500 cards. If those become 4K cards, I am of the opinion that with these new consoles being aimed at 4K and they have 16 gigs of GDDR6, you're going to want a video card with 16 gigs of GDDR6 to enable 4K textures. So, have you seen the Unreal Engine 5 demo?
Yeah, I've seen it, but I haven't really focused on it. I mean, I was going to ask you, well, what about 3.5?
3.5 what?
Gigabytes of VRAM. Where does that fall? Where does that lie in the whole?
You lost me.
Where does that lie in the whole discussion? Sorry,
just the
GTX. Yeah. He got it. He got
it. I'll be honest. I always thought that I actually got my $30 credit rebate, whatever, from the lawsuit from the 970 from Nvidia. I got a check in the mail from them, believe it or not.
That's never I'm gonna say one thing. That's never gonna get old. That's never gonna get old.
Yeah, but it took me a second to think about it, because here's the thing: when the 970 was cool, when the 970 was a current card,
it still is. It still is on the used market, man. That's the thing about the 970. I can pick these up for 100 Aussie. That's like 70 USD. They still go hard for that money, man. They're a real banger. They're still a pretty good banger, and they've got they support it in the drivers.
I don't have a problem with the 970 for $100. That's not bad.
USD would be 70, so 70 USD. Your call.
70. Oh yeah, shoot. Yeah. Here's the thing though: if you buy a 970 today, you have to be realistic about what it can do. If you buy a 970, you can't say, "Great, I'm gonna play Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War at 1440p max detail." No, you're not.
The guys in the ads will sell it to you like that, though. GTX 970 max any game at 1080p.
No, it isn't.
Oh man, you should see some of the stuff here on Marketplace is amazing. I love it.
I tweeted a picture last night on a 970. I actually just finished doing some 970 testing. On my Twitter is a picture of Horizon Zero Dawn at high detail on a 970, and it's completely broken.
What
all
resolution?
The textures are hidden. It's it's insane. It's running at like 22 frames per second.
Yep.
At
1080p?
It wouldn't matter what. No, it really wasn't, but it wouldn't matter.
Okay.
It doesn't have enough VRAM. 4 gigs of it doesn't at high detail. You need more than 4 gigs of VRAM. It actually runs okay, in fairness, at low detail. But here's what's interesting: it doesn't run bad at 1440p low detail on a 970.
Okay.
Not quite 60 frames a second, 50, 55.
Okay. I mean, it's a nice card. Like, it's a really nice card.
But it looks terrible. I mean, it looks terrible. What's the point in buying brand new games to run them at low detail?
Dude, people do that on Fortnite to get the best FPS. So
that's different. That's a competitive shooter. I completely understand why people do. Look, I would understand why somebody would buy an RTX 3080 and run it at low detail. They're a competitive gamer. They care about their win-loss ratio. That's cool. I mean, look, people buy expensive cards and play CS:GO at 500 frames per second. I think that's kind of weird, but rock on. But I'm saying story games like Horizon Zero Dawn or Ghost Recon Breakpoint or The Division 2. Why run those at low detail?
I'm on live stream, mate. What's up? I've got a bowl of soup for you. Oh, okay, cool. I'll get it. Old man's made us a bowl of soup. Hell yeah. All right, thanks. Do you want to say hello to the viewers quickly? No. Yeah, come on, quickly. Just say hello. Just quick, come in the shot. I just got Dadman quick. People love Dadman. You got to look at the camera there. Okay. Come in, yeah. Just say, hey, tech citizens, yes, citizens.
Hey, citizens, yes, citizens.
Yeah. All right. Thanks, Dadman. I'll be up in a sec, mate. All right. Yeah, so that's just Dadman, eh? So he's just he loves his soup, eh? So he's like, dude, you want a soup? And I'm like, yeah, I'll have a soup. And I was like, oh, I got a live stream soon though. So we like spicy soup in the morning. So we'll just like max the chili in there, and then like all of a sudden our mouths are just like dragon breath. It gets you started in the morning though. That's probably what I should have had before the live stream. Then it would have been like, this AMD stuff is so hot, guys. Like, go to get it. And yeah, I'm trying to figure out how I can hype the 6800 XT more, because when you have competition, right? When you have competition, it's so good for the market, because this is what I'm loving, right? This is what I'm loving right now, is that the GPU market is getting really competitive. And you're seeing 6800 XT hitting so hard where it's going to force Nvidia to sort of think about how much VRAM they're putting on their future cards. So will you see a 20 gigabyte 3080? Yeah, you will. But when will you see it? That's the question too. So anyway, all hail competition. But I don't know. Sorry, Dadman just distracted me off the stream, so I've got to get back into it again. Sorry. I love the old boy. You know what I mean? Like, the old boy is such a character, man.
We were just talking about the 970, and the thing is, in terms of value, I can get on board with older or used parts in terms of money spent for enjoyment to be had. Playing a 1 or 2 or 3 year old game at medium detail on incredibly inexpensive components adds a lot of value. Not everybody has the money to buy a $650 6800 XT. And I know you're really big into the used stuff. The used market in the States right now is terrible.
It's terrible here too, dude. It's I mean, I'm into the used market heavily, but it's terrible. That's what I mean. I'm the first to admit it, dude. And it does it hurts my pride, man, when I see the used market in the situation it's in. But that's because, and this is the thing, that's because we don't have these new products coming out. We don't have a $200 GPU coming out, dude. We don't have another Ryzen 5100 on launch. We've got a 3100, great CPU. 10100F is going to be pretty good too if you can actually buy it. But yeah, this is the reason the used market is the way it is. It's just you've got none of these new products that are hitting at the budget points. And so I'm sitting here like with these used parts, like, guys, what do we do? I can't magically cook up a new supply of used parts.
Has it occurred to you that AMD doesn't want to be in the $100 CPU business?
Oh, it occurs to me that no one wants to be not making much money, because the margins on the cheaper stuff's they're making much more money on the higher end stuff than they are on the cheaper stuff.
Do you remember when the 1600 AF deal was going on?
Yeah, that didn't last. I mean, I didn't really talk about it too much because I knew it wasn't. It was just going to be a thing that quickly came and went.
Well, here in the States, it was on and off again on Amazon for, I don't know. It wasn't continuously available, but it was on and off for a couple of months anyway. And for a while, for those of you viewers who aren't familiar, in the US on Amazon, you could buy a brand new 1600 Ryzen 5 1600 AF 6-core 12-thread, which was actually a Zen Plus, not a Zen, even though it said 1600. It's a weird chip, for $85 with a cooler in the box. Brand new.
Yeah.
That's, if I was a computer builder, I'd be like, I would like to order some. Yes. How many would you like to order? Yes. How many would you like to order? All of them. That's crazy. How many computers could you build with a cheap B350 motherboard and an $85 6-core CPU?
Hey, dude, a decent A320 will do it too. So,
Or,
yeah.
well,
Yeah.
sure, that too. But
Yeah. I love my
the
A320.
8 ports aren't very popular here in the States.
Oh, okay, it's weird because like I'm even talking to some of the board partners. I'm like, yo, can you give us a custom BIOS for the A320 so I can get this new AMD stuff working on it? I want to do a video. I love that kind of stuff, man, and just see the performance differences on an A320 versus an X570 with the new Zen 3 stuff. So I'm like hitting them on the dealer. I'm like, yo, A320's where it's at. And that's what I mean. I'm surprised you guys don't take the A320 in with a little bit more positivity. Like, it's, dude, you can pick these boards up half the price of a B450 in Australia, man.
But not in the US.
That's weird. Okay, so if you get in a Micro Center, can you get an A320? Because I've heard people getting them for like $30, A320s. And they're decent. Like, say, well, they'll be from Asus or whatever, or Gigabyte or ASRock or something. They're decent A320s.
Well, you can't use Micro Center as an example because the motherboard CPU deals at Micro Center are in-store only. They're loss leaders designed to drive you into the store, and they only have 25 stores in the country. People talk about Micro Center a lot, but unless you live next to one, it doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, but if they're in major cities, though, like in Australia, we've got like PC, Case Gear, Umart, M-Wave. These guys are in major cities. So, like, for me, I have to drive maybe 10 minutes down the road, and I'm at a big Australian computer store. And so if they've got, like, at the moment, believe it or not, the 10700F in Australia is very cheap. 8 cores, 16 threads, and it's like 450 Aussie dollars. It's not bad. And AMD's CPUs, I don't know if I can talk about pricing of the new. Oh yeah, we can in Australia. I don't know if that's NDA, the Australian pricing of the 5600X. But anyway, put it this way, it seems like the roles are going to be reversed a little bit, where you're going to be getting Intel trying to push out the cheaper cores, cheaper thread counts, and AMD's going to be pushing out the higher before. It's going to be like mind-blowing. This whole like next year in the CPUs is going to be crazy. But yeah,
interesting. I'm looking on Newegg as you're talking because
okay.
I wanted to see what the current. I look at things at points in time, but I don't look at them every 3 days because at some point, I have work to do. There's these things called YouTube videos that have to be made.
Wait,
I wanted to see what the
YouTube
current
videos?
state of. What?
Wait. I thought they just get made out of thin air.
Oh, my favorite thing is when everybody goes, "Come on, man, why don't you make more videos?" Or, "I think your channel would be better if you made more videos." You think?
Yeah.
Thank you for that brilliant insight. I appreciate it. You know what? I was lost without that.
I'll just whip it up, guys. Whip it up.
I'm looking at A320s new on Newegg right now.
Okay.
Because I wanted to see what the current going price was, because I'm going off of memory, but memory can be fun. I mean, we're all human. Memory can be funny. And right now, there are some A320s available for $55 with free shipping on Newegg.
Okay. And what about a B450? 72 bucks. So yeah, you've only got a 20 USD differential there. Okay. See, that's kind of like, yeah, I get why you guys are pushing B450 so much harder.
There's actually a BioStar B450 for $65.
Oh, I mean, personally, dude, I just wouldn't touch BioStar. That's all.
Well, all I'm saying is there's literally a $10 difference between the cheapest A320 and B450 on Newegg. I hear you with BioStar, but it's an example.
Okay.
If there's $10 difference between, like, here's an ASRock A520. Not that there's a huge difference between an A320 and A520, but at least it's a 500 series board, and it's $60.
Yeah, okay. Well, I mean, okay. I can show you. I don't know. I'll just pull up quickly Australian site. So
Okay.
you got A320. Let's have a look. Oh, my keyboard missed a key on live stream, man. And yeah, it's Aussie websites, guys. So you probably have to wait 5 years for this to come up. I was serious, man. Like, it's funny. Newegg gives us faster response times on the servers. So, okay, so we got 75 Aussie dollars, 69 Aussie dollars, man. I think that's cheaper than, I can go pick that up as well. That's bang. I can pick that up. Hold on. I don't know if it's sort of, okay. Sorry, it's live stream stuff. So, let's just zoom that out. I think we got it there. Nope, it's all going haywire. This is why live streaming. That's why I'm not that good at live streaming, dude. So, should be able to see the $69 option here. There it is there, 69 bucks Aussie for an A320, right? Now we can go to B450 and we can do the same thing. And the cheapest B450 is $85. Okay. All right, maybe. Okay, I haven't checked prices recently, but yeah, I'd go for the B450 in Australia. Usually that's not the case. Usually the A320 is like 69 Aussie. The B450 yeah, is like 105, 120. But the B450s have come down in price quite a bit recently. So yeah, definitely go pick up a B450 right now over an A320. And actually, speaking of
how much are the cheapest B550s there?
yeah, so I just saw one for 85 Aussie, which is cheaper than the US. So I think so. It's pretty good. So also, guys, quick plug for today's video sponsor. I forgot to do it earlier. We got SCD keys. Grab yourself Windows 10 Pro key, $14.50 US cents. Use the coupon as I just did there, TYC. Get yourself a beautiful discount. Links will be in description below. That was pretty smooth, wasn't it? Wait, you're not. Was that smooth or not?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. All right, so
That was
okay.
amazing. Hang on. Whoa! I am in awe by the smoothness.
That's exactly what I was looking for. So anyhow, B450, we just researched it for you guys on live stream. B450 is the way to go over an A320 right now. The A520 I wouldn't go for because it doesn't even have PCIe 4.0, which I was disappointed about. You don't get PCIe 4.0 with A520, do you?
You know, I don't remember because I wouldn't buy an A520. So I mean,
If it had PCIe 4, I would. That's all I'm saying.
do you know what my audience would say if I recommended an A520?
What?
You can't overclock, man.
You don't want to with like a lot of the CPUs out of the box. They run perfectly, man. Like they're
I know that, you know that, but people look. I love, for example, the Intel non-K chips, the i3 10100, the i7 10700, for example, non-K chip. I think they could be a great value. But all I get is complaining from people going, but you can't overclock it.
Yeah.
What? Is another 200 megahertz going to change your life?
Yeah, well, this is the thing. I think this is the thing with tech, right? A lot of people buy products. And then they just want the options there. A lot of people buy stuff and they just won't even use the extras. It's kind of like, think of it as like buying this car exhaust that can change from silent mode, low performance, to high performance, take it out. These guys will buy these exhausts and just leave them on this out-of-the-box setting, which is the silence mode. And they'll never change it to the high performance mode. And it's like, why did you buy that exhaust if you're just going to leave it as the cheaper one? So like, that's what I always tell people. Just buy what you need. Save the money for another day. Save the money because tech, there's a trend. The obvious trend with tech is the most obvious. This is the easiest trend to see with tech. And that is, as time goes forward, as time progresses, things get better, things get cheaper. You get better value for money versus this point in time. So naturally, when you think about that angle, when you take that angle out, you're like, well, what's your goal right now? If you want to use something, find out what your usage case is, and then get the cheapest parts for that usage scenario. Now, cheapest can be defined in a few other things. You can say, okay, go out and get a good power supply. Like, still get quality parts that are going to last you, go the mile. That's why I recommend a lot of the Cooler Master MWE power supplies. They're very good value. Here in Australia, they're like 50 Aussie dollars or something for the 450 watt, and it goes extremely hard, man. That's why I'm on the train of thought of get the best value right now for only what you need, and then save that money for a later date. But this is the thing. People want the best now. I don't know.
I'm thinking about what you're saying, and it's interesting how easy it is to get in a bubble of your own thinking. My initial mental thought when you talk about these A320 or B450 motherboards, and when you talk about, $50 or $75 for a motherboard, my instinct, my gut reaction is to say that the kind of computer your thoughts on these things are so...
I'm a drifter, bro. I'm a drifter. Like, I'll go whatever's hot at the moment. I'm on that. You know what I mean? That's why I said now, get the B450. It's better value right now. Grab it. It's only $10 more. But if A320 suddenly came down in price next month, I'd be like, go get the A320. I don't, there's no loyalty towards these companies and what they sell and what popular opinion is. I don't care about popular opinion, dude.
Well, no, but what I meant is you're on a different... It's ironic because my channel's name is Tech Deals, and yet your price structure is so different from mine because I wouldn't buy a $50 motherboard if you threw it at me. I've used them. I think back to all of my experiences of building computers. I mean, I've been building computers for decades. I rarely regret buying a more expensive motherboard. I have regretted many cheap motherboard purchases over the years. When I think back to AMD K6 builds, when I think back to my first Pentium 2 build back in the 90s, and I think about how I saved $25 on a motherboard, or I bought I actually saw in your chat several of your users have like an Asus P6T Deluxe or one of the premium Asus boards from the X570 generation. I still have my X570 Asus P6T from 12 years ago.
X58, you talking about?
What did I say?
You said X570. That's like the new AM4. That ain't old. X58.
There's too many freaking names. Yes, X58. I'm sorry.
Okay. Yeah, because
I still have my
Asus were the X58 king.
P60, which I've owned since new 12 years ago. And it's a great board, but I saved this much money back then to not get the deluxe version. Instead, I got the plain version. But in all the years I've had that machine, and I recently rebuilt it with a 6-core chip, what's the cost difference of having bought the deluxe version of that board 12 years ago and then enjoying the deluxe features for 12 years? I don't even remember what I paid for it back then. I've sort of developed this mindset. The funny thing is, 3 years ago, I did videos on $50 motherboards. I actually did an H310 video on a $50 El Cheapo motherboard, and I built a machine with it. And the thing is, they have no features. They're just so stripped and they're so bare. And if you want to grow, upgrade, if you want to put a faster CPU, or if you want to add a better video card, your core machine is a really cheap motherboard. And so I've sort of developed this mindset maybe in the past 18 months where my minimum purchase, my minimum build recommendation for a motherboard is a lot higher than it used to be. The $500 build that we did yesterday has a $95 motherboard in it. And I'm willing to bet your $500 build would probably not have a $95 motherboard in it.
Well, this is the thing, right? So this is my thinking, right? I'm looking at the average guy, right? When you look at the average guy, I would say that there is a, I would say that there's a two. Okay, so just a sec, guys. Just a sec. Sorry, I just had a technical difficulty there. Personal difficulty. Okay. So when we're looking at A3 like motherboards, right? I'm looking at the span of a lifetime of a user, right? So most guys would use a computer for 2 to 3 years, then they'll sell it and they'll want something new. And so I'm looking at the sense of, okay, save what you can now. 2-3 years time, you're going to be upgrading your PC and you're going to be reflipping that old PC. So that no one, and I'm going to say no one had the foresight to know that an X58 Deluxe board 10 years later would still be relevant. I don't think anyone would have seen that Intel would have stagnated so much on the CPU market that an X58 CPU would still be relevant. Like that was the scariest thing for me. So yes, your motherboard argument holds up if these companies aren't innovating. But now what we're seeing is I'm changing gears. Like X58's getting phased out though, because Ryzen 3 3100's a really good deal. And that's because you've got the new stuff coming in that's really bringing the competition in. It's huge now. The competition's real. And it's finally good that Intel's now got AMD just throwing them haymakers, and it's keeping them busy. And they didn't have that. But yeah, at the time, if you bought that X58 Deluxe, you probably made the best investment on a motherboard you ever made in your life. Just saying. But I mean, hey, should you make that same investment in X570? I'm going to be on the fence of, well, what do you do? What do you do? Do you just play games? If you just play games, which I'm telling you now, the majority of people, like pretty much everyone who buys a PC off us, they're coming in, dude. They're just playing Warzone or they're playing Fortnite. They don't do what we do with computers. They don't edit 4K videos. They don't, some of them will live stream. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. So buy just what you need for what you need now and save the money. And when you upgrade in the future, you can get the the A720 motherboard with the DDR5 and the cheaper CPU then. And just keep, striding. Like, that's what I mean. My method is, look, stride around. Because now is more relevant than the past.
Do you think it's important? I guess when I look at a motherboard and I think about
people are probably coming into people are probably coming into the live stream like, yo, where's the 6900 XT chat? Sorry guys, me and Tech Deals are just going down this. I love this, dude. This tangent we're going down is actually great. So yeah, let's keep going. Sorry.
When I think about motherboards, I mean, I certainly understand the average person doesn't need a super expensive X570 motherboard. In fact, I think the X570s are kind of pointless for most people now. The B550s are a better deal. It's got PCI Express Gen 4 on the first slot of the first M.2 and the first graphics card slot, which is all most people need. And it doesn't have a chipset fan, which is nice, which means you're not going to get whine from a chipset fan. But I look at ancillary features that you can't easily replace. What LAN does it have on board? What audio chip does it have on board? How many USB ports does it have? How many M.2 ports does it have? The $79 board will have one M.2 slot. It'll have Realtek 887 15-year-old crappy audio. It'll have Realtek LAN. It'll have 4 USB ports, and it'll have 2 memory slots and no VRM cooling. The $120 board for $40 more will have 2 M.2 slots, Realtek ALC 1220 audio, Intel Gigabit LAN, 8 USB ports, 4 memory slots. Here's my thinking. If you're going to build a PC today, which lasts longer than they used to, if you want to be able to go through one round of upgrades, let's say you want to build a Ryzen 3 3100. Most people probably would not put a Ryzen 3 3100 on a $120 B550 board because they'll think, well, it's $100-ish CPU. The CPU and motherboard are the same price. I'll save money on the motherboard, buy a better video card. But my thought is if you buy the $120 B550, you can upgrade to a used Ryzen 7 3700X or 5800X 3 or 4 years from now when they're cheap on eBay, when AM5's out and everybody's dumping them, and you'll have better audio. You'll have a second M.2 slot. You can drop a cheap NVMe drive in the future. You'll have better LAN, more ports. Here's the question. If $40 breaks you, you can buy a better video card in a year. You can add more RAM. You can add more storage. You can change a lot of things.
It's a good argument. Yeah, it's a good argument.
You can't change your motherboard without ripping your computer apart and rewire. Your motherboard is a royal pain to change. If you get a good board, you can kind of keep upgrading and playing with your system for years. But if you get the cheapest motherboard they've got, you may end up buying another one. It isn't cheap if you end up replacing the board because you wanted another M.2 slot or better features. That's all.
Yeah, so that's what I mean. How do you do cars? Like if you do, I do my cars kind of the same way I do my tech. Just buy it, thrash it, and then just sell it a couple of years later. Let's get the next thing in. So like that's what I'm saying. Like buy and you'll have the car argument. Car arguments just help people conceptualize where I'm coming from, where you're coming from. You're like, okay, get the upgraded model that allows you to do this add-on, that add-on. This, you can put a roof racks on it if you want more expandability and where you want to go on trips, if you find out you're going to need that in the future. But I'm on the argument of, okay, this is what you need right now. This is what you're doing. Save as much money as possible. And if you need something in 2 years' time, just sell the car you got. Get the car you need. That's just to sum it up. Like, it's just the argument. I mean, people are like, cars are completely different to PCs, but the argument's
how much is your average new build that you recommend, would you say? Like total system price. If you're speccing out a new build with like an A320 or B450 board, what's the total box price?
Like 1,000 Aussie dollars.
You would put
700
a
USD, right?
$60 A320 into a $1,000 machine?
Oh, yeah. See if you can get the better GPU. Like, if that means you're getting the better GPU.
Wow.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean, bro. And that's what I mean. We'll do a
Man, we see the world very differently.
I know, and this is the thing, dude. This is the thing. We'll stack up, bro. We've got it. That's why I love doing competitions with people. Just showing possibilities, right? Showing people possibilities, right? You get the 3600 A320, 32 gigabytes of RAM, and now you can suddenly afford the better GPU. You can afford that 3070 in that build or whatever, or the 6800 XT over the 6800 if that's your budget. So like, I'm all about cutting the cookie. That's what I do. I cut the cookie so hard, but it's still an enjoyable, it's like you're cutting off all the burnt out bits of the cookie and you're just eating the cream, which, let's face it, some people like to cut the crust off their toast and just eat the middle part. Some people love the crust. I'm on the fence of, it depends on how the crust has been cooked. You see what I mean?
I am okay to cut the crust off. Like, if we're doing a $500 build, I'm on board with cutting everything to the bone because every $20 matters in a $500 build. The danger, and I'm guilty of it, I am sure many viewers would harp on me for this, because you can $20 yourself to a new price point. It's like, well, here's a $500 build, but this motherboard is $10 or $20 more. It's better. It's got more features. Okay, now we're at $520. Oh, this video card is $20 more, but it has a better cooler and it's factory overclocked. That's another $20. Oh, this better RAM is only another $10. This SSD is a better deal. And how did we end up at an $800 computer?
Yeah, so that's what I mean.
It's not hard to do that.
Yeah, it's hard to lose. It's easy to lose focus sometimes, and then suddenly you're like, dude, I've seen these builds on Marketplace, right? There's this guy selling some PC with 9 RGB fans in it for 4,600 Aussie dollars. Now, he showed the receipts. He paid like 5,500 for this build. But you know what? It's still, at the end of the day, you can build that same PC for 2.5 grand. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? Like, I'm thinking to myself, I would never do that. I'd never recommend someone do that, because all they're getting is all this extra stuff that most people don't need. So, I mean, at the same time, like, that's what I mean. You're not wrong here. I'm not wrong. It's just different trains of thought. And that's the beauty of YouTube and the beauty of having different opinions. Who do you relate to more? You know what I mean? I'm on the fence of, okay, let's just save as much money as we can, because then we can have a residual income on an investment, and we save up for that investment, which will be building us B450 better motherboards every week. So it depends on the train of thought. Like, I'm all about that, you know, I'm all about hustle hard, sort of get what's good for you. And I'll relate, a lot of viewers will relate to us, and a lot of viewers will relate to you too, man. At the same time, never lose track. Like, if you want the X570 motherboard, then go get the X570 motherboard too. I'm all for that. Like, if you want it and you can afford it, go get it too. I'm never going to stop people from I'm not going to say, hey, don't do that. Like,
well, and I try to remind people that custom PCs are custom. It's your money. You don't have to ask my permission to build it any way you want. I mean, it's, you know, at the end of the day, when I go on with my life and a viewer goes on with their life, they have to live with their purchase. And if they're not going to be happy following my advice, don't. Do what you feel is right for you. The one thing that I think you and I would have a difference of view on, and as you say, it's not a matter of right or wrong, it's a difference of view. And I would offer this to the viewers. Take this as 2 points of view and let them make up their own mind. If I'm speccing out a $1,000 build, my $1,000 build would probably not benchmark as well as your $1,000 build, because I would rather sacrifice one level of the graphics card and put in nicer components. I would put in a better motherboard, a better power supply, and a better case. And I would take $100 out of the video card, which I realized that for gaming, a lot of gamers would say, why are you cutting the video card down? Your case isn't going to give you more frame rate. And I said, no, it isn't. But the video card is forever a 5-minute swap. New video cards come out every year. There's going to be something faster than the extra $100 you spend today will buy you a little bit better video card. Let's say, just for the sake of discussion, a 5600 XT, which has 6 gigs of VRAM, and a 5700 XT, which has 8. In the US right now, there's about $100-ish difference between those two cards. The 5700 XT is, of course, objectively faster in all respects. It has more VRAM. It's a better card. I don't disagree. If you've got the budget for it, get it. It will last longer. It's great. But if you take a 5700 XT and you put it in an El Cheapo budget no-name case, and you put it on a cheap motherboard and a cheap bronze power supply that's not modular with a 3-year warranty, and if you put it on a cheap CPU cooler, yes, your video card's great, but you ended up with a very cheap box. If you take that $100 and you upgrade the case a bit and you upgrade the motherboard a bit, you might have to turn the details down a little bit for a year. But next year, a faster video card is going to come out, and it will literally take you 5 minutes to change video cards. But if you want to change your case, power supply, and motherboard, you might as well build a new computer.
That's exactly right. That's what I said before. Just sell the thing. Just sell it. Then we go on to another build. And that's what I mean. I'm on the fence of, see, for me, I've never really enjoyed upgrading. I'm going to be honest. I've always enjoyed building something new, because now you've got a new case. You've got a new design. You've got a new mod. Like, I just think, like, you know what I mean? It's the reason why I like changing cars, because you got a whole new car, a whole new experience, right? I'm on that. There's that other augmented benefit that you don't think about. And it's like, okay, I get to build a whole new PC now. And it's honestly one of the funnest things, man. And that's why I got into used price performance so hard, because I just enjoyed building a different PC every couple of weeks. And so, yeah, interesting argument there, man. I think we could probably go on on about it for days. This is why I think the viewers love having you on the channel. Just you gotta not ghost me.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. No. Somebody in chat just said Brian's in car debt.
Hey man, hey, we're not going to talk about personal finances on the channel here. Yeah. Look, the Stinger was, man, when I took the Stinger for a test drive, have you taken a Stinger for a test drive?
No.
Have you taken it?
Not.
Okay, yeah, you got to go take one for a test drive, man. Like I took one for a test drive. I was like, whoa, because you can't express your emotions in the car. You can't express your emotions when you're driving the test drive because the dealer's going to see that, and the dealer's going to be like, oh, I'll be able to, fleece this guy for a couple more G. And so I'm like, dude, this was the hardest. Like I took the Stinger for a test drive, and I'm trying to contain the emotions. Like, oh man, this is so freaking nice. And I'm just like, my friend was with me. I looked at my friend. He's looked at me, and he knew exactly what was going through my head. I'm like, damn, I need this thing. Put my foot down. I was like, damn, it's so smooth. So I knew I had to get that, right? So Kia sold me on a car that was such good value in its range, right? It was like the 6800 XT of cars. That's how you can think of the Kia Stinger. Anyway, back to PCs.
You have to understand, you're talking to somebody in Texas.
Yeah.
If you want to get me excited, you have to talk about a truck.
Okay. What? Yeah. Okay. So like 4x4 pickup truck. That you kind of.
I can't justify it. It's too much money. But what I really want, I mean, if I won the lottery tomorrow, I would own a Ford Raptor the next day.
That's a wow? We don't get that in Australia, I don't think. What's a Ford Raptor?
No, you don't. It's their. Some of the audience will know what it is, but it's basically Ford's fact-built off-road rugged truck with 35-inch tires and a foot suspension travel system and every feature in the world and 450 horsepower.
Man, that thing looks like...
Type in Ford Raptor and pull up the images.
I am. This thing looks like it would send you broke on the gas bill, dude.
Like our gas is cheap.
Yeah, this thing looks like it would chug a lot of petrol. That's what I'm thinking straight away. Like, damn, you'd be putting your foot down and watching your gas dial just like literally real time just drop. That's a mean looking car though, man. Like if I saw one of them coming at me, I'd be like, damn, I'd just be running for the hills. Get out of the way kind of thing. Is that thing bulletproof? Or
no,
can you get a bullet?
It's a nice truck. It's very popular. But they're not inexpensive. You'll spend about $7 US on, and don't enough to on
it. Something's happening to your internet. Just as the. Okay, yeah, you're back now. You're back. You were like doing a ding dong.
Interesting is I mean.
Yeah, maybe your internet. It shouldn't be my internet. Should be okay. I don't know. But you've got really like.
You can hear me. That's all that matters.
Yeah, we can hear you. Just before it was like ding 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 ding, but it's all right. It's good now. So anyway, cars. We can talk about that too. But let's go to the audience. We'll go to a Q&A because I got asked. There was a question that came up before that was really good, and it was, should I cancel my 3080 pre-order? And this is one of those things of, I mean, it depends on what you pre-ordered and how much you pre-ordered it for. If you got one around MSRP, you're not like, it's going to be a good card. The 3080 is going to be good. Is the 6800 XT going to be, they're going to be pretty much, from what we're seeing here, they're going to be much of the same. And so basically you got to ask yourself, okay, which do you want to get? They're both going to be pretty good. You're not going to see, like, it's not going to be a life-changing choice going from a 3080 to a 6800 XT and vice versa. So I would say, honestly, if I had a pre-order for a 3080, which I do, I actually got to pick up my 3080 for the $100 flip-up challenge pretty soon. Of course I'm keeping that because I want to get this card in as soon as possible and do the next video. But I wouldn't be canceling my 3080 pre-order if it was a good 3080 pre-order to begin with. So yeah, but yeah, that's my answer. Would you cancel a 3080 pre-order if you had one on pre-order?
That depends on what you want. Do you want a 6800 XT? I think there's a market for both. I think you're right. I think plus or minus they're the same performance, or there'll be some games where will win, and there'll be some games where a 6800 XT will win, and different resolutions they'll be different. But as you said, we've got competition on the high end, which we have not had. When's the last time we have competition and Nvidia?
Yep. You just started. Yeah, something's going on, man. This is probably Aussie internet, dude. You're breaking up here, but it's weird. If my okay, yeah, you're cutting out, dude.
Is my audio cutting out?
Yeah, your audio's cutting out too. Yeah, that's right. I'll figure it out. You seem to be okay now. Yeah. Anyway, what's you should be okay now. So let's keep going. Sorry.
Well, it's not the most reliable application.
The Texas internet joke was pretty funny. Someone just dropped a joke. They're like, you sound normal, mate. Just Texas. Sounds like you guys in Texas have a similar sense of humor as us in Queensland, man. I do love it, eh? You guys are awesome. Just keep tuning in for the jokes and the lols. Look, it could be Dadman. He might have jumped on Facebook. And he could be like, my old man, he jumps on Facebook and he watches all these, he gets plastered with all those random videos you see, like, this car can do a 0 to 1,000 kilometers in 0.1 second. And he's like clicking on it and he's like, really? How does this work? And he's gullible like that. And it's funny but that's probably might be my end. If it's not your end, it's my end. But if it was my end, then my audio would be cutting out to the dealers, to the Tech Yes citizens as well, which it doesn't sound like it is. It's just your audio. So it's probably just Skype. Anyway, go now. Talk now.
You want second generation ray tracing, DLSS, NVIDIA encoder, and the of 30 series, or do you want 16 gigabytes of GDDR6?
Okay, so yeah, so you got, okay, do you want ray tracing, NVIDIA driver suite, or do you want 16 gigabytes of VRAM? Sorry, I've got to translate this to the viewer.
do you want back on the thing?
Yeah, just restart the call, man. That's probably better.
All right, let me hang up.
Yep. Okay. That's a different camera. Okay. Are you good now? What did I just do? No, your audio's still look, guys, it happened in Q&A. I don't know what happened. This happened in Q&A. It's probably like some dude is doing I don't know. Anyway, this is okay. It's all right, dude. We'll fix it next time. It happened in Q&A. It's all good. If it happened in the mainstream, people would have just been like, damn, dude, damn. There he is. There's his background, his real background. We get to see your real background this time. But it's all good. It's all good. We'll close off the live stream, and we'll do another live stream soon, okay? Promise me that. Everyone's like, yo, use Discord. It's the live stream's sort of coming to a crux anyway, so we're all good. We'll figure it out next time. we'll set up Discord next time too, okay? But yeah, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll actually close this one off. Awesome discussion, tech deals, and you don't mind me saying your real name, or that's just nod or yes or no? All I heard was anyway, so all right, so Tech Deals and we do have I'd say it's a really good discussion for you guys. It's awesome. I don't know what is going on with the Skype right now. It's apparently just on Jason's end. So yeah, people know your name, so it's all right. So yeah, Jason Tech Deals, we'll hook up again, guys, for a live stream. Thanks for tuning in so much. Also, let us know in the comment section of this live stream what topics you want us to talk about. Because we, as we see here, we just went off tangent on the 6800 XT. And it just became this cool discussion, and I love going down these tangents. Tech Deals loves going down these tangents, and you guys love it too, because this is like the highest viewership we've ever had on a live stream here at Tech Yes City, which is insane, I think. So it's crazy. So yeah, there we go. We'll catch you guys. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for tuning in a lot. And yeah, yeah, it's. See, yeah, I don't know what's happened. It's gone. Tech Deals is just cutting out. So, and then people like more videos without a shirt. Okay, I could do a live stream without a shirt on if you guys want. That can happen as well. And we will catch you in the next one. Thanks for joining in, dude. I don't know what's going on with the audio. It's just cutting out. So yeah, we'll close it off. And the 6800 XT, me and Tech Deals both agree it's the one to get from the RDNA 2 announcement. The 6800 XT. All eyes on that. Do wait. The benchmarks are going to be very interesting. Do wait for it. I think we're both excited about that card in particular. The other two don't shine as hard as that, which is interesting because I thought the 3080 was the same thing. I think the 3080 was the best out of the 3070 and 3090. But yeah, 6800 XT looks like the best price performance in that category. And yeah, get an A320 over a B450. Tech Deals will disagree, and he'll tell you otherwise. Love each and every one of you.
Oh, good.
Yeah. And sorry, guys. I don't know what's happened with the chat. Sorry about that. But yeah, Tech Deals is awesome. Go subscribe to his channel too. And we'll catch you guys in the next live stream. We'll figure out what happened here, and we'll make sure it doesn't happen again. And we'll catch you guys in the next one. Do you want to say peace out for now with like a bing, bing, ding, dong? All I heard was a but. Anyway. All right, guys. Peace out for now. We'll catch you next time. Bye.